Sheila, and I wanted to show you how I process my persimmons. The name of these, I believe I'm saying this right, is the Hachiya persimmons. And these are the kind, sometimes they're even a lot bigger than this. I found a tree that was loaded, so I think when they're so loaded, they're smaller. Plus we were in a little bit of a drought year, so they were smaller than normal. But these are still firm on the tree. Oftentimes they will soften on the tree when there's been a frost, but that means they're also really good to eat then. But these persimmons, you eat them when they get really, really soft. You can also soften them by putting them in your freezer and freezing them overnight, and then they'll be soft when you pull them out, and you can bake with them or eat them. So, a lot of fruit don't really lend themselves to being frozen, but these ones do. And if you ate them when they were hard, they would feel extremely astringent in your mouth, and you would probably think they were the worst fruit on the planet. And that was actually my very first experience with these kind of persimmons when I first moved to Northern California, because they're more of a Northern California fruit than a Southern California fruit. And my sister lived in San Francisco, and she'd always pass by the little farm stand market in her neighborhood and see these, and she's like, I really want to try these. So we brought it home, and it wasn't very good. But now I have learned how to eat them, and they eat them soft. They are a textural thing, but you can also dry them, and they are amazing when you dry them. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So I've been doing this for years, and my dear departed friend Judy taught me how to make these. So this is in honor of Judy. And right now, well, in the fall, all the way up into the winter, it's right around the solstice when I'm recording this, they're still on the trees. So you can still find them. When I first started doing this, I always took the stem off, but I have learned since that you want to save the stem. So you want to have a little bit of the stem on there. So some of these were little clusters. So I'm just going to cut the little clusters. And what I'm going to do is take a little peeler, and sometimes these really inexpensive peelers to me seem like the best. And I'm just going to peel the outside. Just one layer, just the peel. And in the next 24 hours, once I get these hanging, which I'll show you that too, the fruit will create like a little barrier, and it will become dry. So the nice thing is I've never really had, even though I'm going to peel these and I'm going to leave them out, I've never had like ants all over them or bugs. So that's a good thing. I mean, I don't have a huge ant problem, but they have been coming in here and there because of the rain. So there's my first one. I'm just going to peel them. And sometimes I might find like this one has a soft spot. It's not too soft, but if you get a soft one, then you just want to eat it or put it in your refrigerator or freeze it. You can make delicious like persimmon breads. You can also, when I used to eat them more, I like the hard ones, the fuyus. I like to put them in salads and such in this time of year. But sometimes I would put it into my oatmeal if I was eating oatmeal. But some people make really delicious like pudding breads and things like that. I've never made one, but I'm sure you could find a recipe. My friend Cheryl made one not too long ago, and it was really delicious. So I'm just peeling them, super simple. And this is why I love this peeler. It just holds in your hand. I have other ones too, and it's funny, they're all more expensive. And I find like, gosh, this really inexpensive little peeler is literally the best. So I'm just going to keep the stems on. Gosh, for years I did not keep the stems on, and it was so hard to hang them. But persimmons are a fall fruit. Right now there's persimmon trees all around Northern California where I live. So I'm not sure, how far and wide they grow. But they're very juicy, so they're going to be kind of in that apple pear category where they come in the fall when it's drier, so they're really good for the lungs. So I've got about 5 of them down. I'm going to just do one more, and then I will show you how I hang them and where I hang them. And they're so festive this time of year. It's really fun to do them now and hang them up around the holidays because they just look like more holiday winter decorations, like little Christmas decorations. Okay, so there I have about 6 of them now. So obviously I have more to do, and I even have more than this because this tree was literally loaded. I have some hemp twine, so I'm just going to cut a piece. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to save a little. This will be my top one. I'm going to save a little so I can tie that up. And then I'm just going to do a simple little tie. And then I'm going to just place that back in my bowl, grab another one, and I can literally just wrap it around, but I've just been doing little tiny ties around. And again, I'm just going to keep going. I've seen more and more people doing this over the years, especially probably with social media and sharing it. So I've seen it hang around people's rooms like that. I always hang them down in a windowsill. So there's lots of ways you could do it. All right, and I didn't have to double knot them or anything. Oops. Okay, so look at that. I've got my nice cord. So now I'm going to hang them. So I'm going to take you over there with me to hang them. Okay, so now I'm going to hang my persimmons, and you can see I've already done a few. And I did these about 2 nights ago. So I did have a piece of copper hung over my windowsill, and we just have it hung. And we did this a few years ago, and we just keep it there because every year I do this. So here's the ones I just put, but I did these ones a few days ago. So they are totally dry and they're still firm. But what I can go by and do is just give them a tiny little squeeze. I say it's like I'm giving them a little massage. I'm just going to come by, give them a little tiny massage. And what that's going to do, and I can feel them starting to soften, just starting to soften, like I just made these. So this is going to be a 4 to 6 week little show on display in my kitchen. But it's so pretty, isn't it? So I'm going to let these sit, and I've got room for more. I'm going to let these sit, and every day I'm just going to give them a little squeeze. And what's going to happen with that little squeeze is the sugars are going to start to get drawn to the outside, and it's going to maybe turn white. You might think, oh my gosh, is it molding? It's not mold. It's just the sugars coming to the outside. They crystallize. You keep getting it softer and softer. They come in and they turn into a dried persimmon. And you can always test them. You can take one, you can sacrifice one and cut it open. If it feels wet in the middle, then they need to go longer. But you just want to keep going until they still have a softness, but they're also dry. And then you can store them in a jar, and you can store them in your fridge. You can put them in your cupboard if you're feeling really confident that they're totally dried. Sometimes I even throw them, I don't know how scientific this is, but I throw them into my freezer for a little bit in case there's like any, I don't know, like any other bugs that maybe have made their way in there during the time of them hanging. But I just give them a little massage each day. I'll open them up and test and see when they're really done and when they have really dried out and they're not kind of wet in the middle. But I have gone some years like too dry, and then they're like rocks and they're really hard to cut. And then I'll show you what they look like when they're done. Okay, so here are my persimmons that are done. These are actually still last year's. You can see the whiteness, and that is not mold. Those are actually the sugar crystals. And this is what it looks like. It's all wrinkled up, and I'll just cut one open so you can see. Now, they are very sweet, but once you taste them, you realize they might go nicely as a treat. Like you can cut them really thin with maybe some cheese. I like to cut them even smaller than this and then add them to like a trail mix. Sometimes if I'm going on a bike ride, then I have my own little sweet sugar thing. If I'm riding for a long time and I'm feeling like I'm gonna bonk, then I can have a little nice sugar hit. And you can see, I don't know if you can see, but it still has like a little bit of moistness. It's not wet by any means. It's not like I can squeeze any moisture, but I dried it to perfection. And this is how I store mine, in these jars, and I like to give them away. Obviously, I didn't give enough of them away last year because I still have some and I've got more going. So I'll ship these ones out. I'll keep processing these ones. In probably 4 or so weeks, they're probably going to be done, and I will sacrifice a few to test them. Of course, I can eat those sacrificial persimmons. But yeah, these are these beautiful persimmons. They, again, save the stem, always cut the stem, and so that you can easily tie them up and hang them down or hang them across the room. Give them a little squeeze, show them your love, and then when they're ready, just put them in a jar. Usually I just try to get rid of the stem at that point. I get rid of the greenery when they're all dried, and then I just store them together in a jar in my cupboard. Okay, I hope that's helpful, and I hope you make some. Share it with me if you do, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.